Hello there, my name's Chris Chell. I'm here at Tankfest 2024 with the French Army Reenactment Group. Today we're going to have a look at the Hotchkiss and the MAT-49. So what we have here is the submachine gun from the 1946 trials. So at the tail end of World War II, the French Army, along with every other army, were coming out the tail end with just about everything. The French Army especially, seen as they had to rearm themselves completely. The MAT-38, as previously mentioned on the previous video, they wanted to move away from the 7.65 long cartridge. They wanted the 9mm, which they had issues with before the war. However, it was in plentiful supply after. So the first gun we're going to talk about is the Hotchkiss Universal. Hotchkiss Universal was a civilian contender for the crown of the procurement process. The procurement process itself wanted a folding. It stated they wanted a folding submachine gun. It had to have a certain rate of fire, had to be a certain weight. There was a whole list of requirements that the manufacturers had to meet to be able to go against, to be able to compete in the trials. So this here is the famous Hotchkiss Universal, or infamous. It looks like doesn't look like much when you look at it like this. However, when you unfold it, it becomes a submachine gun of the determined length. It is very unusual. It was massively over-engineered, to be honest. It's almost like an engineer was given the task of designing a firearm rather than a firearms designer given the task of designing a firearm. Starting with the buttstock there, and the buttstock itself is well over-engineered. As you can see, there's a lot of nooks and crannies. It'd be very hard to clean in the field. Once you get to the pistol grip, again, it's got the cutout there, which is very uncomfortable for the hand. You've got the trigger, which is a mile wide. It's absolutely shocking. You've got the sling swivel here, which is not too bad with the right hand, but if you're left-handed, it just stabs you in the back of the hand. Obviously, the cocking at us, the moving forward then, where do you put your foot with your left hand or right hand, depending what it is. You know, you grab it here, you're likely to move the magazine, which may disrupt the feed. You lift it up too high, you're going to burn the top of your hand on the barrel. It's awful, to be honest. But at the same time, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's just an example of what happens when engineers take over, I'm afraid. And as you can see, it's got a lot of nooks and crannies where it'd be really hard to clean in the field. They did go to field trials. The French Foreign Legion had them in, I think it was Indo, and they did not like. Well, they said they were okay. They rated the fact that it was a submachine gun. It was lighter. It had the 9mm stopping power. However, it was just a folding nightmare basically. And a lot of them didn't actually bother folding it because the simple reason is it was just too complicated. They didn't know how to do it. So that is the Hotchkiss Universal.
Oh, it's fascinating from an engineering perspective, as you say.
Yeah, as far as an engineering goes, they've gone to town on it.
I mean, the two things that jump out for me, the little lump of metal just below the muzzle, I'm assuming that's to stop it from recoiling into a vehicle?
So this is now in the folding stage, as far as we can gather. Again, all our weapons here on the stand are to UK spec, deactivation. What you used to be able to do is you used to be able to grab this, and this would have then drawn the barrel to a set length, so it would have reduced the length of it. However, unfortunately, due to deactivation, it's no longer possible to do that.
I mean, like I said, I assumed it was for that. I suppose it would probably double as that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this here is actually just for pulling it back. This obviously is the foresight for the peep sight. So.
Yeah, the other thing that catches my eye is the front sling swivel, or loop. That looks hideous.
As I said, it is a trial weapon in May. I'm not saying they would have done, but they may have sorted that out when it went to. I mean, they did sell some. Don't get me wrong. The French Army didn't buy them. Like I said, they did go on trials. However, the police force, I think the police, a unit of the Parisian police used it.
Right.
I believe Morocco and a couple of smaller countries used them.
Okay.
But as far as the big export, you know, the big sales they were expecting from the French Army never materialised.
I found that fascinating because I always associate the MAT-49 with the police. Probably that's too much of watching the Day of the Jackal when I was younger.
The MAT-49 did become, but it was slightly different. The police, I swapped them over now.
I was going to say, nice little link in there.
Yeah, nicely done. So the MAT-49 there, this is more any film that you've seen with Indochina, Algeria, etc., etc., you will see the MAT-49. This was the winner of the trials. As you can see, a lot more simpler. It's basically a product improved grease gun. It works on a very similar principle. This one is a slightly older deactivation. So on the unfolding itself, all you have to do is you pull the strap, pull the wire, shoulder stock back. Once that's clear, you've got the small button here. You press this button, which then releases the magazine. Or magazine well. The magazine well then clocks into place, and then you're ready to go. As you can see straight away, you've now got a perfect position to hold it. There is a nice solid position for your left hand on the magazine well, grip safety on your pistol grip on the right. If you want, but obviously you've got to be careful in case ejection opening, depending on where you want your shells to go. Generally it was the right-handed weapon. The firearm itself then, as you can see, is quite heavy. You can't see it's quite heavy, I'll just say my word for that. It's a lot simpler than the other one. You compare this against Hotchkiss, you can see why it won. Not only was it made by Estate Arsenal, so it would have been cheaper, it's sturdily built, it's well built, very basic, but it's still well built. Yeah, it's the almost perfect soldier weapon, really.
You can see that one has been designed more by a weapon manufacturer than an engineer.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Hotchkiss were a weapons manufacturer, and they've got a long history of the Hotchkiss 1914 heavy machine gun, etc. And they've designed a lot of gear. However, I don't know how that slipped through, but it did. Yeah, the MAT-49, I actually really like the MAT-49. It's a lovely looking bit of kit, quite iconic. Like I said, you do see it in a lot of films. They did make a police version which had a wooden buttstock and also had select fire. The military version is automatic only. What are we looking at now? So it's a lovely bit of kit, as we said.
I mean, it's very clever how they've done the magazine well as a grip. It's surprising wasn't hit on earlier.
Yeah, no, it's a really good. Like I said, it's a really good design, and it fires from an open bolt, as most submachine guns do. As I said, this one's an older deac, however it is deactivated, so don't worry about any weapons clearances and stuff.
That helps. Are you listening, YouTube?
Yeah, it is completely deactivated to EU spec, the old EU spec.
Yeah. No, I was interesting as well that it's sort of the ancestry is the grease gun.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it is, like I said, the grease gun is a very good weapon. It's very simple. It's very, it was perfect at the time, along with the Sten gun. To be honest, they were just built during the wartime, so they were very basic.
Yeah.
So what they did is they've improved it, made it more user-friendly.
Yeah.
And then created their own version.
Yeah. I mean, were these used widely, or were they just the French?
Like I said, no, they did sell to some of the French protectorates.
Yeah.
But there was no. Yeah, it wasn't because it was a military government arsenal. Government arsenal. They didn't really sell, or they weren't allowed to sell outside of their supply chains, if you like.
And I think pretty much
no need to, because obviously they're a government arsenal, so there's no need to produce that income that you would need to if you're a private concern.
Yeah, and pretty much at that point, everybody is producing a submachine gun, aren't
they?
There
is that as well. Yeah, I mean, everybody knew what the submachine guns were and how useful they were within a combat situation.
Yeah.
So it suddenly dropped from. Like I said, before the war it was, what really do we need a submachine gun for? Do we need... They couldn't see an exact reason for a submachine gun, it was just a gun, They needed a rifle, they needed a machine gun, they needed one to a pistol. Submachine guns sort of fell into a weird category they didn't really know how to use. However, after World War II, they certainly did know how to use it, and it was like, right, we need more of these. We've got airborne now, we've got tanks. We need a nice portable weapon that can be used. As and where, it is a good bit of kit, and it was only replaced in the early 1980s by the FAMAS.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I was fascinated when I read up on was the Viet Minh.
Yes.
Taking them and actually modifying them.
Yeah, I mean, the sign of a good combat weapon is if the enemy then, when they get hold of one, they want their own version. So what they did is, obviously ammunition is a bit shy for the Viet Minh, so what they did was recalibrate it to the top off. Once they did that, the next player, they kind of were expecting to increase the rate of fire, but it did. And I believe they had a slightly bigger magazine to account for that as well. I think it was an extra 2 rounds a second.
Yeah.
Glued up with a Viet Minh.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for that.